So let's get everybody in here. What's up? Sanguine. What up, guys? Jake, Sanguise, Greg, Mike, Harold, Jake. What's up, fuckers? What's up, fuckers? We do it old school. We ain't professionals here. Just watch a TV.
Does that record normally? Like how the operators actually have to watch
What's up, everybody? What's up, Chuck? Colton, Trav, Cisco, James, Mike, Andrew, Alex Worm. What's up, guys? Good to see Mike from Broken Hope also hanging out. Hope everybody's killing it tonight. I think I am. Fucking A. What's up tonight, everybody? Turn that down a little bit. Turn that down a little bit. Hope everyone's doing good. Yeah, I seen there's Mike there. He's the drummer from Broken Hope. Fucking hanging out, checking the shit out. It's good to meet you, man. Funny situation that was for myself and my friend, which we'll get into in a bit. But yeah, man, pleasure, guys, for sure. So what's happening today? Fucking, you know, it's kind of a gloomy day down here in St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada. Way down here in the boondocks. We got a nice canal that runs right through here. We got where all the boats pass through, right? It's just nice. It's nice in this area. We got lots of forest around here, lots of parks, lots of places to just to go hang out. It's It's pretty nice, man. Within a half-hour radius, you can almost get out to feel like you're out in the cottage country. It's nice, man. I like it around here. I just grew up around here. It's my whole life. So I know the Niagara region, St. Catharines, Welland, Port Colborne, Waynfleet, Hamilton, all that area, right? So yeah, it's good times, man. So what's going on? What's everybody out there drinking tonight? Not sure. Anybody? I'm back to this, man. This Polish stuff. Fucking tits. It's fucking tits, guys. Thought I'd wear a fucking sweet ass horror shirt tonight. Because myself with Jeremy, we're both fucking just big horror fans. So I know there's gonna be some conversations there, but so you got a little some Christmas mail in the old mail. Not sure what it is actually. I believe I have an idea. This is all the way from Poland, so I guess we do unboxing videos here too, eh? Unpackaging videos. I don't want to be that guy though and rip shit. It's always the scary part. Where is this? How the fuck does this thing work? Oh, there it is. I don't even have a proper tool on me right now either. Just gonna slice right in there. Slice the record right in half. Right, whatever, right? Let's get her open, see what's up. Excuse me. Oh. Nice. What the fuck? So, let's talk about this here. It was finally nice to meet Rob Mausoleum from the band Mausoleum. I met him. We were chatting back and forth. Glad to connect. Ended up seeing him at Quebec Death Fest with when he was playing. He's playing in Morphus Descends, and it was fucking awesome. Like that's what I love about Facebook, man. It just and these social media sites. It just connects everybody with people that you've either had contact with, at least buying a CD maybe back in the day or something like that. Facebook brings everybody back out, kind of a lot of people back out, which is really cool. So I got to meet Rob last year, in Quebec, and Morphus Descends was fucking just killed. It killed. Holy shit. I don't know if you're fans out there, man, but Morphus Descends. Super fucking dudes, too. So, got a fucking sweet ass fucking mausoleum patch. Much appreciated. And Jesus. Oh, man. Oh, man. This is gross. So, behind the mountain, released Mausoleum Back from the Funeral on vinyl. What? This is fucking rad. Oh shit. Look at that. That's fucking pretty tight. That's pretty tight. You guys are big fucking Mausoleum fans, man. If you're not, again, there was another band that was on the Razorback roster too. Fucking totally didn't fucking, I forgot to mention that. Sorry. So yeah, this is pretty fucking bonus. Does it open? No. Don't want to go too far. And what's this? What? don't even know what this is. I'm kind of, I'm interested to know. It's only released as... Oh, no. Never mind. There's 2 albums. I'm fucking stupid. Mausoleum, cadaveric displays of ghoulish ghastliness. So that's... Wow. My God. Oh, Rob, you spoiled me, man. This is fucking... This is gold. Holy shit. See, big horror freaks too, man. Mark of the Devil. Blood-sucking freaks. You always seen... if you were big Impetigo fans back in the day too, Steve-O and Mark and everybody in the band, they always wore horror t-shirts all the time. Mostly, specifically Mark and Steve-O most of the time. And they always had Mark of the Devil or Blood-sucking freaks. Oh my God, guys. Oh my God. This is unbelievable, man. I'm jizzing. I'm jizzing in my pants. That's unbelievable. But yeah, guys, honestly, man, if you gotta check out Mausoleum, I'm gonna post. We'll post. Yeah, I have Morphus Descends. It was Morphus before they went to just Morphus Descends, right? I have the Morphus demo upstairs. It's awesome, man. It's good to see, and Mausoleum's still kicking around, dude. Super rad, super rad. That's killer, man. I could be listening to that later. Oh, Jesus, that's a nice gold. That is sharp. Check that shit out, eh? So, yeah, hope everybody's fucking doing awesome tonight. And we're going to take this right down. And we're going to go over here and talk to our good buddy, Mr. Jeremy. Let's turn the volume up here. Bam.
Hello.
What up, bro?
How are ya?
Fucking amazing, dude. How are you doing tonight?
Good, man. I didn't chime in when you asked what everybody's drinking, but I'm having a Heineken.
Oh, don't touch the Heine.
You know, don't squeeze the Charmin. There is no Charmin. Everyone hoarded it all.
There's none left.
Yeah.
Yeah, they should bring that back, actually. Don't squeeze the Charmin.
Remember that shit? Shows you how fucking old I am.
Well, how old are you?
Dude, in exactly 4 months from today, I'll be 50 years old.
God damn. Right on, and you look fucking not a day older than 47.
Thank you. I'll take it, man. I will take that. Thank you.
Oh, man, totally. You still look good. And it's because you're still involved in the scene and the music that you love and that you grew up with. And that's what keeps the youthfulness in us all.
Yep, Cam, I've always said that death metal, like, keeps you young. That spirit, there's something about it. It's like, I tell you, I'm going to be 50 in 4 months. But time, in my experience, bends in a real funny way. And I feel like I was just jamming with Joe Thychek and Ed Hughes and Ryan Stanek and Brian Griffin in a garage.
Right.
Like yesterday.
Literally.
And I mean, it feels like shit's gone by that quick.
It does,
you know?
and I feel bad, I feel bad for my parents because I wasn't around as much as I wanted. Like, I mean, obviously now that I'm a parent, I look back and I was like, holy shit, man, I should have spent maybe a little more time. And I mean, I'm obviously doing that now, but like, holy shit, man, because like you said, man, 35 years is like is gone.
Gone that quick. It's crazy.
My God. So we got Mr. Jeremy Wagner here of Broken Hope. And hanging out in where are you right now?
I'm down in Miami Beach. I'm from Chicago, still live there, but about 3 years ago, my family and I started doing the snowbird thing and getting the hell out of Chicago when winter rolls around.
It's cold, isn't it?
Not real. Yeah, Chicago's pretty damn cold. I'm sure it's freezing up by you too, man.
Yes,
You know,
indeed.
you're near Niagara Falls, right?
Yeah, I'm right
Yeah.
there.
So, Great Lakes, they got their own storm system and shit. It gets
Yes.
really cold, and you know, just I love Miami, and been coming here for years. So we decided to get a place here for part of the year.
And
So
and keep your sanity away from the cold.
staying away from the cold, and soaking up all that old school Florida death metal vibes.
Oh goddamn! Yeah, that's definitely inspiring.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh
I
shit!
think Dan Gonzalez from Possessed. I think he lives here in Miami, not too far. I ran into him one day at the FedEx store.
Oh goddamn! Very cool.
Yeah. So
Everyone's still mailing out the packages.
Yep. 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 I saw your mausoleum thing that you just got. That looked pretty badass.
Oh my god, dude! Like, what a fucking package, man! That is fantastic. You're obviously a fan.
Yeah. Yeah.
Big time, man. Fucking A. So, Jeremy.
Doing it right.
Yeah, totally are. Just keeping it sick and horror. Just horror drenched, man. And that's exactly pretty much the concepts that you have gone through the 30 years almost of Broken Hope.
Right. I've always been a horror kid, before I was ever a musician. And it just was a natural fit, and
literally.
the bands that I started getting into, always had a horror element to them. Some kind of, metal always has some kind of death thing going on, darker side of stuff. I mean, that's metal, but like death metal really just fit the bill for me, because I'm like, wow, here's bands that are marrying up horror movies and metal, underground bands in Patago from Illinois.
Yep.
Love those guys. I was a big demo trader and collector, when Broken Hope started. So there's, you had Mortician. I still got all my demos. I'm just thinking out loud. There's this great band from, I'll never forget, I got their demo, and Joe Fychek and we flipped out. We were like, 18 years old or whatever, 19. And we got this demo from a band called Hideous Manglius.
Oh, yeah.
Pittsburgh.
Yep.
And I met them. I met those guys at a festival. I think it was in Buffalo, New York. Mark Angel, fucking sick lineup. And but I mentioned that band and stuff because I'm trading tapes with guys that are like doing the shit I was already starting to do with Broken Hope as a demo band,
right,
coming out of high school and stuff. So
yes,
yeah. So horror is just woven into my DNA. Horror culture, we're talking horror movies, horror books, because I'm an avid horror reader and writer.
Yep.
And just all the horror magazines, all that shit, man.
Did you collect a lot of Fangos and Gore Zones and all that stuff?
Yeah. My mom bought me the very first issue of Fangoria with Godzilla on the cover when it first came out, 1979. My mom always struck a bargain with me, taking me to the dentist and shit, which, that you want to talk about a horror story, man. Going to the dentist for me was like scary as hell. And I'd throw a fit. No, I'm not going. I don't want to go. She'd be like, if you can, keep your shit together and be cool, I'll get you whatever you want when we're done. So I go, oh, okay. So went to the dentist and went to the local drugstore, and there I'd always look at the newsstand because Famous Monsters was already been out, way before my time, and I'd pick up stuff like that, and then, man, I'll never forget that first issue of Fangoria right on the magazine stand. I'm like, I want this, and bam, next thing you know, I'm reading about Tom Savini and fucking all kinds. I was just hooked. But yeah, I got all that stuff, man. all the old horror mags, everything, you know.
Well, that
New horror mags, Rue Morgue. I love Rue Morgue.
yeah,
And
they're
all that
Toronto.
stuff.
Yeah, they're an hour away from me, right here.
Yeah. Yep. Great stuff. Shout out to the memory of the Gourmet
Yes.
from Rue Morgue, man. He was awesome. Dude.
Yeah, man.
Yep.
R.I.P. Unfortunately, a couple
Yeah.
last year, a year and a half ago, or whatever. And
Yeah.
he was just he was one of those guys. He was almost like the Chaz Balloon of Rue Morgue.
Yeah.
Because Chaz Balloon was one of the writers. He was in Gore Zone, and he kind of had his own style and dug the weirder side of horror movies and the gorier shit and everything like that. And the Gourmet, same thing too with Rue Morgue. He'd always dig the basements for like the weird stuff. And yeah, man, shout out to those guys for sure.
Yeah.
So you say that you've been infused with horror and the dark and all that kind of stuff. So did you, when you got your first band together, which wasn't Broken Hope, it was what was it called again?
The first band that I had was with Joe Fiacek.
Mm-hmm.
I'll back it up a little bit. Him and I went to the same high school together, Gurney, Illinois, and we were in the same bands. You know, Joe was really into a lot of hardcore bands too, and he turned me on to some bands I didn't really listen to. I was really into thrash metal, like big time. We're talking 1987, and so he's like turned me on to bands like maybe even borderline punk, like Screeching Weasel was a band I remember. And,
man.
Life Sentence and GBH and all this stuff. But the thing we bonded over was also the heaviest bands at the time. We're talking like Slayer to Dark Angel and Cryptic Slaughter and Martha Splatterhead, DRI and all this stuff, right? And Joe and I, we rode the school bus together. I didn't have a car even. I didn't drive to school. I was poor, so I took the school bus, and he was on the bus, and we'd start talking and getting in the bands and stuff. And he's like, I want to be a singer. I know you play guitar. And I was already writing riffs, and I was already writing lyrics too. I'm never been a singer. I can't sing. I can't growl. If I play guitar right now and talk to you, Cam, I can't do one or the other, man. I can't walk and chew gum, But Joe, he wanted to be a singer. And I said, great, let's form a band, get some local guys. And that band was called Decimation. That was that was right before Broken Hope. We were called Decimation, and then when I started tape trading and stuff and getting fanzines from around the world, I saw there were a couple other Decimation bands. I'm like, hey, that ain't gonna work. We're not that original. So we temporarily called ourselves Vile Demise. I remember that for a month. And I don't know if I even told anyone that, but it's just going through the names. And then, we hooked up. So we had this band, Decimation, Vile Demise. We had some other guys in the band from high school. And, I quickly learned as a teenager, as it's been through my whole history of being in a band, chemistry and people that take music seriously or not gets worked out real quick. So Joe and I were always real serious. Some of our school chums wanted to be in a band. Some guys mom bought him a drum set because he wanted to be a drummer, but then didn't want to practice. You know what I mean? So then I had this party at my house. I lived with my dad. My dad was a single parent. It was just him and me. And in high school, one of the perks for me was my dad would always go stay at some girlfriend's house, you know, and I'd have the place for the weekend. So what did I do? I fucking threw parties, got someone, older brother, to buy beer for, you know, my buddies and me, and we'd be cranking fucking Rain and Blood and Darkness Descends and everything else. One night I'm having a party, and this guy's there, Ryan Stanek, who became our drummer. So he's there with some guitar guy that he was jamming with. They show up at the party, and Joe, a couple other friends are like, "Hey, Jeremy, play those guys those fucking riffs you were writing." So I had, you know, my first ESP guitar that I saved up like a whole summer to buy. Wait, you know what? No, I didn't get that ESP till later. I couldn't even afford it. I had a Kramer Randy Rhoads rip-off model guitar and a tiny little crate amp. I was always writing riffs, and I was never in a cover band. You know, I was surrounded by cover bands in high school, and all the cover bands that were playing fucking, you know, Dokken and shit would always tell me, you know, your music, what's death metal? That shit sucks. So I was always like, I'm playing cover fucking music. I'm going to be writing my own music. So I had a great guitar teacher and who always embraced me wanting to write riffs. But I was learning the fundamentals of playing a guitar and even some classical shit, how to read music. But long story short, I'm having this party. Joe and a couple friends go, "You play these guys those riffs you're writing. They're badass." So I just plugged into my crate amp, and some of the material that was like would later appear on the first Broken Hope demo. And Ryan Stanek and this guy were like, "Holy shit, wow, man, that's fucking heavy. Well, you guys want to jam with us?" So we said, "We'll jam with you." And they already had a name, and the band name was called Crypt. So Joe and I joined Ryan and this other guy, and we were Crypt for a few months. And the thing is, Ryan was great. You know, we jammed at his parents' house. His parents always were so good to us, you know, like, here's a free jam spot in our basement.
Fucking right.
You know, I didn't have a pot to piss in. I'd always raid their refrigerator. Ryan's mom would feed me really well, you know, teenage kid, and just great memories. So we're jamming with these guys, and the guitar player that Ryan had in Crypt was a real asshole. He was like a bully, you know, like he'd be like, "We're writing my song, my riff," you know. He was a bit bigger than me. I mean, I'm 5'3", so imagine me, you know, 1988, you know, I was probably 4'1", you know, but this guy would always bully me, and Joe too. He was a real hothead. And one day he just got on our face, and I like fucking slammed it. We got in this fight. I slammed it through a wall, just some drywall, and then he started crying. And that was the end of him. Our Joe and I said, "We're not jamming with you guys anymore." We had the PA and all this shit, and Joe's dad took us back to my place. So we took our amps and the PA and shit, and within an hour, Ryan's like, "Fuck that guy, man, I want to jam with you guys, but we'll rename the band." So we brought the shit back, and I'll never forget, we were sitting on the floor with Ryan, Joe, and me, and we had a list of band names everyone contributed to, and you know, me being the wannabe horror writer as a teenager, I had this book of all these dark poems that I had written. I was either writing dark, gothic horror poetry or writing poetry to girls in high school whose pants I was trying to get down. Yeah. You know, I'm a poet. It's poems for you, you know? So anyway, out of all of that shit, one of the names of a poem I had, this one of the dark poems, was Broken Hope. And by this time, thanks to my buddy Ross Dolan of Immolation, he gave me a demo that he mailed to me, and he said, "This is the heaviest fucking band you're gonna ever hear right now." And it was a band, it was Paradise Lost demo.
Sweet.
And man, it was great. And when we heard, Joe and I specifically, because Joe and I love the first Paradise Lost album, Lost Paradise, to this day. Every time I hear it, I think of Joe. The demo and the name, like hearing that, how heavy the band was, but hearing the name Paradise Lost, it wasn't a typical name.
Yep.
You know, it's not like, you know, you hear a band name and you're like, you know, okay, I know that's probably a death metal band or something, I don't know.
Yep.
We were like, that's what soul is. Hey, Broken Hope, we thought as teenagers, that name has weight. It's heavy. And when you hear the music and whatnot, so I came up with the name, but Joe was the one who really pushed for us to use Broken Hope. So
sweet,
because he loved Paradise Lost as much as me. So anyway, boom, we formed Broken Hope, and then
and what year was that? 88?
That was around 88, yep. And then not long after that, I think 1989, if I got my history right, that's when we got our first bass player, Ed Hughes. So Ed Hughes had his girlfriend at the time was friends with Joe, neighborhood girl, you know, from same high school and all that. And she's like, you guys need Ed, you know, put Ed in your band. He's got a bass guitar and he loves the same shit you guys do. And so we're like, all right, I mean, we don't have a fucking bass player. And then Ed came along, and Ed could really play. You know, he played guitar too. He's a good musician. And so then the core of Broken Hope started building from there.
Sweet.
And we had another guitar player who joined for a short time. It was on our first demo, Dave Duff. And he came and went, you know, he was on the demo. We did one show with him, and then after that we were a four-piece. And my roommate at the time, now by this time I graduated high school, so I'm living on my own. My dad moved in with his girlfriend. I was out on my own. And my roommate was Brian Griffin, who became our longtime lead guitar player, guitarist. He wrote a lot of great songs. And he produced our first 5 albums and stuff.
Yes.
And we did this show it's kind of funny. It was again, Broken Hope, the 4-piece. And we did this show. It was a children's benefit show. And it was like, I'll never forget, it was like August of 89 or 90, something like that. I have the poster somewhere. It was a children's benefit pig roast. It's got, when I get a picture, I'll send it to you sometime, because when you see the names, it's like they're all these cover bands, and like a Skinner tribute band, and Glass Fog or some shit, and then Twister and Broken Hope. So there's all these kids, and there's, you know, barbecue going on, and we go on stage, and man, it's like, it's, you know, fucking Broken Hope, you know. And no, like, we had a bunch of our friends that they're moshing, and then all these adults and people are like, what the fuck is going on? Back then, we'd play anything. We were so hungry.
Yep.
We're in a band, we want to play. So played the children's benefit. I have the video too, and I should post it sometime because it's funny because they fucking ended our show with 4 songs. Joe goes, the show's fucking over, throws the mic down, and then like, you know, one of these guys like who organized this thing picks up the microphone, and it just ends with him going, anyone interested? There's a 3-legged race going on right over here. So that was it. And anyway, the reason I mentioned that show is because Brian Griffin, my roommate at the time, he was working at a recording studio, and we had him do our sound mix for that show at Children's Benefit. So after we played, Brian was just like, you know, you guys are really fucking good and heavy. And he's like, you know, and Brian was in a local band before I knew he was a guitar player, obviously, being roommates, of course, and he was a great guitar player. I'm like, well, if you want to come on board, you know, come join the band. And then right after he joined, winter rolled around. We were rehearsing more and more, and we got on this festival that, you know, Eric Reif, manager of Death.
Yes, that's right.
Long time. He's a longtime friend of mine. He's always kind of been a big brother to me. You know, he worked out of the studio we recorded at Wave Digital in Gurnee, Illinois. And he was always promoting shows up in Milwaukee. So he put together this thing called Day of Death 1990. And it was like Atheist, Cynic, Immolation, Revenant, tons of bands.
Was Suffocation on that one?
They weren't on that one. They were on another one though.
Okay.
I'm the one who wanted Immolation and Revenant on just because I was friends with those guys. And Eric just put them on. He was just so cool. He's like, all right, yeah, I'll put those guys on. And I'll put on Broken Hope. So that show was the first time we ever played with Brian Griffin live. And it was a fucking great show for us. And then, right around then, I think we were getting ready. We did our second demo by that time, in that time. And then, right after that second demo is when we started sending the demo out and get fanzine reviews more and more. You know, having 2 demos out certainly helped. And when I was doing that stuff, again, I go back to Ross Dolan of Immolation, one of my dearest friends. He already had this fucking strong foothold in the underground.
Oh, yeah.
You know, Immolation did. In fact, that second demo of Immolations is still one of my favorite demos of all time, man. That demo is, to this day, fucking heavy.
Yeah.
It's legendary to me. Luke LeMay of Gorguts did the artwork on it. You know, just cool shit. But Ross is like, hey, Jeremy, he sent me this letter. He goes, here's a list of fanzines around the world you got to send your demo to. They will review it, and, man, you'll be getting mail and all this shit, and it's really going to help Broken Hope. And I'm like, dude, this was so fucking cool, you, man. Thank you.
Yeah.
And it was like, you know, Pure Drop Zine and, you know, France and, what the hell's it? Metallion and, you know, just all over, you know, Europe, all over the world. You know? Yep. And then, yeah, we just built up a name in the underground, you know, and I'm telling you this in 2020, dude, like fucking bands that are teenagers right now who are on bands, it's like I always say I sound like old man Wagner, you know, because here's the demo cassette and little flyers to promote it, and you put it, you know, and you got stacks of this shit. And I was poor, paying for a lot of postage too, man. It was a whole fucking thing.
Yeah.
You know? But
Yeah.
we did it, and then we started shopping the demo. You know, we had enough material for a full-length album, and that's when Chicago-based label Grindcore International Records signed us, and we put out this fucking album, Swamp Thing Gore. And this, by the way, was just released on vinyl via Floga Records out of Greece.
Oh, yes.
But they got kind of, they worked out some licensing thing with Metal Blade Records.
Sweet.
Who actually has our whole catalog, the first 5 album catalog,
yep.
4 or 5 albums. But since I'm bringing this up right now, as we're talking about death metal history and Broken Hope.
Fucking A.
When this album came out, the cover of this album cover artwork was done by a guy named Mitch Nawara, who was the brother of the label owner, Mark Nawara.
Huh?
So we were teenagers, you know, like not really like we didn't know what to ask for. Like now,
yeah,
I'm like, it's fucking Wes Benscoter doing my album cover or nobody else.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So they're like, this is your album cover. And we were like, oh, okay. And then when this came out, this is the point I want to make is people hated this fucking album cover. Hated it. They're like, that's the stupidest, cheesiest album cover for fucking band. Get this. All these years have passed. And when this guy at Floga Records was going to do the re-release on vinyl, I was like, well, you're going to use the Rob Smith's album cover. Rob Smith's is a Canadian artist who did the Balls of Repugnance album cover, and
yeah.
he did the alternate vinyl album cover for Omen of Disease. And when we signed the Metal Blade after Grindcore International and they re-released Swamp Thing Gore, we had Rob Smith's do a new cover for Swamp Thing Gore. So when I told this guy at the label, I'm like, you're going to use the Rob Smith's artwork? He's like, no, we're going to use the original Grindcore International artwork. I'm like, dude, nobody likes that. He's like, no, you're wrong. He's like, there's some threads out there. He goes, check this out. And he did some posts and people like, that is fucking genuine old school shit. Bring it back. And I just couldn't believe it. So to anyone who's tuning in right now, I'd like to know what people think of this cover versus the re-release cover from, I think, 91 or 92 that Metal Blade did with Rob Smith. Because, I don't know, man, it's 2020. People, maybe I don't know if it's a thing about legitimacy, something that's genuine and old and something people are fond of. I don't know, but the label the new label demanded this cover, and the comments I saw made me go, wow, people like that shit. So I mean, I guess, yeah.
Mike just said that people want shirts of that.
Yeah, I heard that too.
Yeah.
And damn it, what the hell? That on a relevant note, a company called Pull the Plug Patches.
Yep.
Well, they approached us about a year ago, and they wanted to do an exclusive patch. And I said, great. Here, you want to do like, mutilated and assimilated, or bowels or something? And the guy said, no, I want to do a fucking patch of this fucking guy as the patch. I go, you gotta be kidding me. What the hell's going on? Why do people he's like, dude, people want that. And you know what? The fucking guy, I think he sold out of the patches. Just yeah.
Well, because it's literally the first thing. And then a lot of people that first heard Broken Hope and seen that album cover for the first time, that's their childhood right there pretty much. So that's what they remember the most, right?
Sure. Well, I'll tell you this, man. They kept things really authentic too, even on the back, because from left to right is Ed Hughes, Joe Dychek, me, Brian Griffin, and Ryan Stanek. And by the way, everyone always thought I was the fucking singer because they put me in the middle. But what's funny is the lineup was always wrong, like with the names,
right?
Because it starts with Joe Dychek and Ed Hughes, which that's Ed and that's Joe.
Yeah.
But, Folga Records kept that authentic as well.
That's cool.
The wrong names. So,
yeah, that's rad.
Yeah.
So everybody out there who obviously, I know a lot of people have purchased that re-release are probably looking at it going, why is this wrong? Why is this wrong? Well, there's your reason why.
Yeah, right on. Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
So
that's anyway, where I brought you to was that's basically Broken Hope started on a school bus, to the first album right there.
Fucking right, man. And obviously, like when you listen to the first demo, it's raw and it's just fucking like it's just raw production, right? And right away on the second demo, it almost sounded like you already started finding your sound already.
Yeah, that's how I look at it.
Yeah, totally.
And I think we always continue really sharpening and finding our sound more and more. I mean, there's I guess there's ingredients and components that make Broken Hope sound like Broken Hope. But we're always, every album always pushing, and I've been real lucky in respects on a positive note with even ex-band members over the years, because whether it was Brian Griffin or Sean Glass or even now Damian Lesky, these are people that I jam with who were always, they're all talented, but they always pushed to be better and better and better, and I always embraced that. And it broke it. Joe Dychek, straight up, quality control manager to the fucking 10th power. Like, if a riff fucking sucked and he thought it sucked, that wouldn't fly. If the lyrics I gave him, he felt were either weak or not long enough, he would make me fucking go back to the drawing board,
Cool.
And to that end, people like, again, Brian, Sean, Joe, Damian, and others just always push to, make the band the best it could be. Because our attitude also is, when you do an album is forever.
Yep.
And it's it's almost magic. It's a time capsule. It's your labors of creativity at that time, and we always to this day take that seriously. And so like the evolution, this whole thing I'm going off about is first demo to the second demo.
Yep.
First album to getting off Grindcore International, signing with Metal Blade, and while I was writing Bowels, I was really fucking pissed off, and I really wanted to prove a point, because when we signed the Metal Blade, that was like, for me, a dream come true.
Yes.
Metal Blade's to this day one of my favorite labels. I think right now, Brian Slagle, that label's got some of the greatest fucking death metal bands right now, and it's fucking amazing, And but I wanted to prove a point. Being signed to Metal Blade, I mean, Cannibal Corpse at the time was fucking huge, Chris Barnes era, and so it's like we want to stand out, and plus, I was still living with Brian Griffin in this fucking attic apartment with like no AC in the summer, and fucking pissed off at life. You know, I had a shitty job. Again, I was like dirt poor, girlfriend troubles, and I was just like fucking. And man, it really came out in bowels because I wrote fucking one song after another, and was just rage. And I think you can feel that in Bowels of Repugnance. Bowels of Repugnance too is like you know, people have children. Broken Hope albums are my children, and you know, like, I don't want to say this is my favorite child, but Repugnance is really, really one of my favorites. Like, I could play that whole album fucking live in concert, beginning to end at any time. You know, it just has a special thing. But anyway, I digress, as I always do, and my point is that demos to albums, album to album to album to album, just always trying to deliver uncompromising, brutal, sick fucking death metal, pure as possible. And when I say pure as possible, we don't have to fucking try and push and do shit that is just, you know, trying to keep up with the Joneses.
Yep.
We're fucking death metal to the core. Everybody in the band, everybody that's ever been in the band, and that's what we deliver. We just try to deliver our best brand of death metal, I guess. You know what I mean?
But you guys started with a sound that literally didn't sound like anybody else. There was, you know, like everybody was pretty much just doing, you know, just regular death metal because it was still new. So everyone's just, you know, doing the gore guts, doing the death, doing, you know, like that sort of stuff. But then you started coming around and literally you started fucking, like you said, just bowel-wrenching vocals. Guitars were fucking just crunching more than anybody else's. Blast beats, like, and it was tight though as fuck.
Yeah, we had well, you know, my influences that predated all, you know, the death metal influences I had. I was always hungering for heavier and heavier music as a fan. Yep. You know, when I discovered death metal, you know, going from Dark Angel to Death and Morbid Angel, like, I'm like, wow, what fucking this is the shit. And the thing is, like, I love a super fucking heavy riff, whether it's, you know, you call it slam or just a breakdown that,
yep,
the way I always describe it, makes you want to slam your fucking head into a fucking cinder block, you know. And I'm a huge fan of grind. Terrorizer, my favorite fucking grind band of all time.
Yep.
There's a lot of great grind bands, but World Downfall is a fucking masterpiece, in my opinion, that inspired me to be extreme, you know, I mean, like, really grinding and then just mixing it up with heavy riffs. And then, you know, tying in my fucking lyrics in there to tell little micro horror stories. But going back to having a you know, a heavy sound and a heavy vocal approach, I'll never forget when I was getting all these demos. So, you know, I told you I had the Paradise Lost demos. I had the Nihilist demos, Nihilist who ended up being Entombed. The Amon demos, which were Deicide. I mean, fucking those riffs and those vocals. Executioner, which turned out to be Obituary. Yep. I'm getting all these demos. Again, Hideous Manglius, gotta drop that name. That's just a demo. Sam
Biles, the man, fucking right.
Yeah. So here's Joe Thigh-checking me, dude. Hey, fucking mail came, dude. Here's a demo. Fucking what the fuck? And then that's when Joe said, "I'm gonna fuck. It's all about the guttural. I'm gonna fucking be the most guttural death metal fucking vocalist that I can possibly be," because he said that's brutality. And I've got to tie that in with what you're doing, Cam. the Growl,
Yep.
that's Joe Thychek.
Literally.
I mean, for fuck's sake, on the albums, he didn't put Joe Thychek vocals, he put esophagus. You know?
It's true.
And that's it. That was Joe. And Joe's approach to vocals, and again, his attitude with quality control, all benefited Broken Hope on just bringing the level of brutality up even more. Because that was our mission, to be the heaviest fucking band in death fucking metal. That's the flag we fly as high as possible, man. And you know, that's what it was. That's really what it's all about, man. You know, and that's what part of our sound.
But yeah, like you figured out your sound early on. Like you said, you love Terrorizer. And the thing about Terrorizer is they're brutal, they're fast, but the production, it's clean. You can hear it. And you guys, literally, you can hear everything that's played. You can hear the drums fucking stand out, the guitars, the bass, the vocals. Like it just, you've had this sound and you found it early.
Yeah. And a lot of that, the credit to the sound and the quality of the albums, especially the first four, you know, Swamp and Gore, Balls of Repugnance, whatever, the Repulsive Conception, Loathing. Funny thing is, the first two albums, we were the first digital death metal band.
That's right. So, and I just read that too. That you were the first guys to record digitally death metal.
Right, and then the Repulsive Conception, Loathing, and Grotesque Blessings, we went back old school to analog. We recorded on 2-inch tape or whatever. But fucking Brian Griffin, who is really a Jedi magician with his ears and his talents, he could go from digital to analog to anything, and that motherfucker, and I say that with love, was just a perfectionist. And that, all that ever did was benefited the band, because he'd work fucking 19 hours straight on mixes and making sure I mean, just even I got video footage way back in the day, you know, making Ryan Stanek hit his drums for hours and hours, microphone placement. I mean, technical shit that I just couldn't get my head around. You know, I'm like, I know what my guitar tone should sound like, and this guy's doing all this incredible work. So we're real fortunate, you know, having him on.
So would you say he was one of the pretty much the guy that gave the sound then?
Yeah, I would credit Brian Griffin for, you know, really giving us the Broken Hope sound on the albums. We would produce together. You know, I didn't have any skills in the studio at all. Brian had all the skills, but I would at least bring an idea. Like, obviously, being a guitar player, guitar tone is important to me.
Yep.
And Brian was a guitar player. Is a guitar player, and I'm like, you know, the way the tuning we're at, we always tune to D standard since day one, and I'm like, the tuning, the tone, I always like to scoop the mids.
Yep.
Brian was sort of kind of like, no, you need mids in there, and we work it out, but at the end of the day, the band as a whole would, you know, signed off and be happy with what we pulled together, what we were hearing with our ears, and Brian Griffin just would take that and fucking really just deliver. I mean, you know.
Yeah, honestly, because the guitar tone, especially like yours, you said like you brought it up, you know, the breakdowns, those you know, slam parts or whatever like that. To get those tones though, like for what you have, you need that so you can hear the crunch, crunch, crunch as you're doing your fucking little slam parts, right?
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Man,
you know, I was a big fan of Obituary. Still am. I love the band. I love the guys. They're friends of mine, and their fucking guitar tone was a guitar tone that I loved. And then Suffocation.
Yep. There's the biggest one.
Same graduating class, formed in 1988.
Yeah.
I met those guys out on Long Island when Broken Hope just came out with their first demo. I drove from Chicago to Long Island to see Death and Devastation, the band that was a thrash band on Combat Records at the time.
Yep.
And that whole show was like a mingling of fucking all these bands that went on to do stuff. So the Suffocation guys were there. That was their neck of the woods, Long Island.
Yep.
And I got their fucking demo, and one of the guys who I don't know, I forgot his name. He's not in the band, and it wasn't Josh. It was someone before him. I still have it. It was a Suffocation business card with upside down crosses on it. Hey man, you're cool, Jeremy. Keep in touch, bro. I still got that business card. Immolation were there. Incantation. Fucking that band Winter.
Yep.
I think they opened up too, and
fucking A.
And then this band Apparition, who went on. Remember the band Sorrow?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's. My mind is either rusty or it's razor sharp, depending on memory. Right now, it's razor sharp. I remember fucking everything. So, Suffocation, kept in touch with them. I'm getting to a point here about guitar tone.
Yep.
That fucking Effigy of Forgotten comes out. And, dude, fuck, man. That was just like the fucking guitar tone was just so fucking heavy, and I told Hobbs, like, dude, what the fuck, like the production, it was like, for Scott Burns, that was one of my top, death metal albums, just hearing that. And then one time we did a festival with Suffocation way back in the day, early 90s in Milwaukee, one of the Milwaukee Metal Fest, and Hobbs and I, we're both stage right guitar players,
yep.
So we were going on right before Suffocation and the rave, and they had their amps with them, and we had our amps too, and then it's a back line of cabinets and shit for the fest, and he had this fucking amp head. It looked like it was from the fucking 60s. It weighed like 2,000 fucking pounds. That was his tone. And I said, can I play through your rig for when we go on? We'll put your head up there. It'll already be up there when you go on. He goes, yeah, go for it. And then that was just sick as fuck. And that just kind of inspired me a little bit more with how I tweak shit. Again, I'm a mid scooper. Some of the guys in my band, they would like me to have more mids, but anyway.
But that's how you get the crunch, though.
Yeah, it's just.
Yes. Yes.
Finding that right balance too, because when you're grinding, you want to hear the notes.
Yep.
And all that shit, and we make it work.
Totally, man. Yeah, but like you mentioned, Obituary, they had kind of a loose distortion where when when they chugged, it wasn't like like you can tell he palm muted or anything like that at all.
Right.
It was just a sound. But then with you guys, like you said, you scoop the mids, and all of a sudden you palm mute, and it's like a fucking a totally different sound.
Exactly. Yeah. There's just little accents, just the littlest thing. When as a guitar player with palm muting and the approach and the attack and all that stuff.
Especially when you're doing triplets, you can hear the fucking right?
Yeah. Right.
Totally, man. Oh, I get it. I was a PV guy myself, and I always found PVs to have that crunch that I've always loved.
Yeah.
Totally, man. Right on.
Were you a 5150 guy?
Unfortunately, I started with a PV Rage. And that was just one of those little practice amps. But right there, I figured out.
My first amp ever was a PV. My first practice amp. Yeah.
Right on, right on.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how did Metal Blade find you guys?
So Swamp and Gore came out, and when it came out, it did really well. It went into like the first pressing sold out, went into a second pressing. We started doing shows, everywhere we could. We didn't really get a proper tour, but we still did some cool stuff. We went to Canada for the first time, and that was really, really awesome. We played Montreal and way up in Quebec in Rimouski.
No, nice.
And we had great fucking band along with us from Canada called Purulence.
Yes.
And,
oh my gosh, yeah.
Their demo, really great fucking demo.
Yeah, man.
Everyone in our band loved those guys. They were heavy as fuck. And then during that same, whatever you want to call it, Swamp and Gore era or cycle, summer rolls around, and we're asked to play fucking Milwaukee Metal Fest 6 at the Mecca Arena. And man, what a fucking lineup, dude. It's like Deicide headlining, Obituary, Cannibal Corpse, Suffocation, Ex-Hoarder, on and on and on.
Jesus.
Like fucking 10,000 people. Biggest crowd, of course, we fucking ever played. In the Broken Hope documentary film that came out in 2013, there's a piece in the documentary.
Yep.
Documentary is called 25 Years of Sickness, the story of Broken Hope or something.
Yep.
Now what is it? 35 years of Broken
right.
Hope? But there's like me talking about playing that Milwaukee Metal Fest, because that was a very pivotal show for Broken Hope. One, I was blown away because as a fucking metal fan kid from the fucking burbs, I had just saw Metallica play that same arena on the On Justice for All tour a couple years before.
Fuck yeah.
So like for a kid like me, that was a big deal. Like, I can't believe like I'm playing the fucking this place that Metallica just played. Like, again, 2 years before that, or whatever.
Yeah.
3 years before. Anyway, we go on, and when we're getting ready to play, fucking we get introduced by King Diamond.
Jesus.
And so now I'm really fucking I can't believe my fucking life right now. Again, I'm a metal fan kid.
Yeah.
All this shit's going like, wow. We fucking play, man. The fucking pit, just thousands of people going fucking nuts. And one of the guys that saw us play was a guy named Marco Barbieri, who did A&R for Metal Blade.
Okay.
And we were already out of our contract with Grindcore International within a year. I mean, they didn't sign us for an option. They basically forgot, didn't pay attention. So we were like, let's try to get something bigger and better for the band. And we sent Marco a brand new demo that had we didn't release it because it was just for labels, but it had 3 songs that ended up being on the Balls of Repugnance album. So Marco got it. He was like, wow, you guys are really evolving, and this sounds great. He goes, by the way, your performance at Milwaukee Metal Fest 6 fucking blew my head off. I gotta tell you, you guys came on and dominated, and just very impressed. Whatever, blah blah blah. I'd like to work with you. So, boom,
fucking A.
signed to Metal Blade, and then, and to this day, like the Metal Blade key people that are still there, like Brian Slagle, Tracy Vera, Mike Faley. Love those guys. And
Right on.
all the other people working at Metal Blade Records are also friends of ours. Heidi and Diana and all these other people that are now there. It's just it's still such a great label, you know.
Sweet.
And just signing the Metal Blade, you know, I was like, at the time, man, a dream come true for me. Because that, being on Metal Blade, Balls of Repugnance comes out, and the next thing you know, now we're actually doing real tours. We have worldwide distribution. You know, people that couldn't get Swamped in Gore because the label was so small and they didn't have licensing at the time. Now everyone was getting Broken Hope around the world, you know, and that was great. And then, you know, we did this really massive tour with Unleashed.
Yeah.
At the time, that was a great fucking tour for us, man. And we just kept, you know, we wanted to just keep the fucking foot on the gas pedal and keep going. And that, you know, and then we just kept on writing, recording, you know, and yeah.
Fucking right, man.
Never
looked back. Yeah. Hell yeah, never looked back. And
no.
and it's sweet too, because I mean, how you and I met is kind of funny, because I did a few episodes on Banger TV, Sam Dunn's YouTube channel or whatever, and ended up doing the brutal death metal episode. So of course,
that's how I first heard of you.
Yeah. So of course I have to bring up fucking Broken Hope. We're talking about brutal death metal, who are the forefathers of, you know, this genre or whatever. So of course you got Suffocation and you know, the usuals or whatever. But Broken Hope were always the ones that were just like, no, don't forget about Broken Hope. Do you remember when they fucking started and doing their demos in 88 and 89 and everything, and how fucking deadly that sound was compared to everything that was happening at that time? Do you not understand? So obviously I bring it up, you know, because fucking right, top 10 fucking brutal death metal bands. And then we end up going to Maryland for the Death Fest. Unfortunately, I couldn't stay for the fest itself. I was there for the pre-show. And boom, Jeremy walks up behind me and he's like, hey man, I don't want to be that guy or anything, but are you the Cam that was on Banger TV? And I was like, yeah man, fuck. He's like, man, I'm Jeremy, dude. Thank you so much. And fucking, you know, for mentioning Broken Hope and everything, man. Because I have to bring it up, because Broken Hope were one of the fucking bands that brought the brutal, just the death metal sound to another level.
Yeah, and I appreciate that big time. You know, it's like there's that a big part of Broken Hope history is sometimes we're looked at as underdogs. You know, you know, sometimes I think if we maybe have gotten signed a record deal, you know, earlier, maybe we would have broke out. You know, death metal, when it blew up, and you know, you talk about Obituary and you talk about Suffocation, DSI, Cannibal Corpse. I mean that, and then all the earache bands, fucking Morbid Angel and Tomb Carcass.
Yep.
What a great that wave was great, but we weren't putting an album out during that first wave, you know.
Right.
So when we came out, one thing that always got under my skin is, you know, because we're, you know, Swamped in Gore, we're a gore band, so, you know, critics would review us, oh, these guys are a Cannibal Corpse clone. It's like, motherfucker,
God.
We came out fucking same year, 88 is Cannibal Corpse and Suffocation.
Yep.
I go, who's cloning who, man? You know, I got my own imagination and my own fucking talent. I can, you know, write my own riffs, but, you know, when you're 20 and 21, you know, wanting to rip a critic's head off because he, you know, doesn't get it. You know, it's stupid. Who cares? You know what I mean? But my point of staying that is, like I have a Metal Evolution poster that we have at our house in Chicago.
Sweet.
My wife was a backer for Metal Evolution.
Oh, right on.
And she got like a signed poster and stuff. So we got that framed up. So under death metal, you know, you got Immolation and all this. You never see Broken Hope name dropped in every fucking, you know, top 10 list or whatever, and that's fine. But to get that acknowledgement from you on that show, it still meant something to us because people were going, you got to check it out, man. This guy's fucking saying Broken Hope, is sick as fuck, and they're a pioneering band. They got their own style of Chicago brand death metal, whatever, and so, thank you for that, I mean, when you do any kind of art, like this painting here, by the way, by my friend in Berlin, Daniel Harms is his name. This is called Lockdown, and it's we support, my wife and I support artists, and
Yeah,
shit.
man.
And so this was named Lockdown because everyone's in isolation. So we just got this. But any artist, whether it's a painter, a writer, or books, someone who fucking creates video games or whatever, being acknowledged, is nice. You do your art because you love it, whether
Yep.
you make a living at it or not, because that's pure passion. You know what I mean? Yep. So I didn't get into Broken Hope to be fucking popular, Yep. But getting acknowledgement is nice. But I did get in and do Broken Hope to be the heaviest motherfucking death metal band I could possibly be. So
and you're doing a great job at it, man.
Yeah. So that's uncompromising. That's the way we roll.
Totally.
From 1988, 17, 18 years old to fucking almost 50 years old.
Still going.
Still love a fucking heavy riff. I still love a grind part. I still love guttural vocals.
Yeah.
Horror, you name it, And a beautiful thing, man, is you talk about Maryland Death Fest. You got Maryland Death Fest, Netherlands Death Fest, Obscene Extreme,
Yeah.
Brutal Assault. These fucking festivals that are real, like, so genuine about death metal. And the fucking fans that come to those festivals, man, is like, to be alive, to see all that shit happen and play those fests, man, that's the best. Because, again, old man Wagner, when I was starting this shit, my dad would be like, what the fuck is that? He played, like, those bands I told you went to high school with, playing fucking Doc and cover tunes and shit. They'd be like, what's that vocal style? It sounds like the soundtrack to Jurassic Park. I'm like, yeah, it's death metal, motherfucker. And now, dude, you see death metal mentioned in all kinds of mainstream shit. I picked up a fucking Stephen King book, and he's mentioned death metal.
Oh, shit.
He actually tweeted about something about death metal bands scare me or some shit. I don't know. But anyway, over time, it's just funny how shit trickled. things that were once so extreme are like still extreme, but they're widely accepted or something. I don't know.
Well, I mean, obviously we can thank Ace Ventura for that, for bringing it to the masses, right? Yeah. I mean, that's one example there where
that scene was filmed here in Miami, actually.
Ah.
Yeah.
You weren't there, obviously.
I wasn't there, no. Unfortunately, yeah.
But yeah,
I think it was at the Cameo. If I'm right, it was the Cameo Theater or some other venue. But I know it was here because Chris Barnes had told me about the day when they filmed that whole thing.
Right.
I love that movie, man.
It's a great flick. It's funny. I think it's still funny.
It's awesome.
And it's funny too because Rita, his sister, actually lives like 15 minutes from here.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
because they're from Buffalo originally. Yes.
So they're all from like this area, totally. So
that fucking I told you. I think I mentioned. So when I not to get off topic, but to mention one thing, a little bit of trivia that's kind of cool. I told you about that band Hideous Mainless.
Yep.
I got their demo at this amazing show that I was at. And the show was Morbid Angel, They're supporting Authors of Madness, but they were only doing these East Coast dates. Their album wasn't even licensed in the United States at the time. Yeah, it was just on Earache,
UK,
and you had to buy it as an import. So, in fact, I bought Authors of Madness and Terrorizer the same day as imports at a music store called Slip Disc Records in Valley Stream, New York. And those fucking CDs were like, at the time, $25 a pop. That was a lot of money to me.
It was.
But anyway, I was so fucking in love, dude, with Morbid Angel, man. I still love fucking Morbid Angel and Terrorizer, of course. So when my buddy Tom, this guy, Tom Bradner, he's one of my best friends to this day. He was my original guitar teacher. He had a thrash band. If you're really into thrash metal and a real metalhead, and if you ever hear of a band called Numbskull.
Oh, yeah.
He was in a band, Numbskull, their album Ritually Abused. Tom Bradner was the lead guitar player and main riff writer of the band.
Okay.
Classically trained guitarist. Fucker could play Randy Rhoads leads note for note and then write sick riffs. And he taught guitar at a music store. I mean, he was my guitar teacher. You can actually credit him for me learning how to play metal on guitar and a few other things. So
very cool.
Anyway, Tom and I, we were both like huge Morbid Angel fans. We're like, let's fucking drive to Buffalo, New York. So we had all these other friends that were going to be either playing the show or at the show. So Immolation were on the bill. The lineup was Morbid Angel, fucking Ripping Corpse.
Oh yeah, New Jersey boys.
Eric Rutan.
Yep.
Immolation, Revenant, and Baphomet. Remember Baphomet from Buffalo?
Buddy, good friends of ours, yep.
Yeah. So, and that was at the Sky Room in Buffalo, New York. Now, when because you were talking about Chris Barnes and his family being from Buffalo, that's what got me the old memory going. So I had heard of Cannibal Corpse because they had just signed the Metal Blade Records. And Eating Back to Life wasn't even out yet. But being knowledgeable of, this death metal band is signed, but we knew they were from Buffalo, and they had this album coming out on Metal Blade. So I remember being by the loading dock of the venue, and the Cannibal Corpse pulled up in a van to say hi to David Vincent or something, but they weren't allowed in the venue because the venue and the promoter banned Cannibal Corpse from ever coming back into that venue because they had, if I remember right, the story Chris Barnes told me is they opened for Sacred Reich and I don't know.
Overthrow.
Yeah. What's that?
Overthrow they played with. I totally remember that.
Oh, okay. Yep. Yeah. And some shit went down or whatever, but that was my first glimpse of Cannibal Corpse. And the reason I mention this is because it was a crazy day. When you look back in time at this one show, you had like Cannibal Corpse in a parking lot, Morbid Angel for the first time seeing them, in upstate New York, and then all those bands again, Ripping Corpse, Immolation, Revenant, Baphomet, and it was at that show too where I got my first ever shout out from stage. This song is from Jeremy Wagner of Broken Hope, and that was Ross Dolman of Immolation dedicated Internal Decadence to me, because that's like one of my favorite songs to this day by those guys. So anyway, so part of Jeremy Wagner's death metal journey. There you go.
Very cool, man.
Crazy stuff,
So you guys put out a whole bunch of albums. After Swamped in Gore, you got, what was the album after that?
After Swamped is Bowels of Repugnance.
Right.
And then Repulsive Conception.
Right.
Loathing and Grotesque Blessings.
So was Loathing the one where you started working?
Era,
Was Loathing the one you started working with Ben Scooter, right?
actually, technically, Repulsive Conception was. But the thing with Repulsive Conception and Ben Scoter, that album cover was already a painting that he had just sitting around. And we didn't have a big budget for artwork, but I really wanted to work with Wes Ben Scoter. So someone at Metal Blade contacted him and said, Broken Hope really would like to have you do their art, and what will you charge for an original cover? And he gave him a price. And then they're like, man, I don't know if we can swing that for Broken Hope. And so I was like, can you see, maybe he's got something existing. And sure enough, he had this painting, and he's like, I did this painting, and it hasn't been used. And he's like, I'll give you a deal on it. So we looked at it, we're like, all right, that's great. Then Loathing comes around. We have a bigger budget. Still keeping in touch with Wes Ben Scoter. Love him. And we're like, we got this album. It's called Loathing. We started corresponding because he was going to make an original album cover. And he's like, well, what's the album about? Is Loathing a song? No, but Loathing sums up how we feel and death metal and blah, blah, blah. And, man, he sent us a sketch. And if you look at his Instagram page and scroll through, he's got, like, the original sketch for Loathing that we saw. We got it via fax machine, right? And we're like, wow, this could really be something. And, man, when that Loathing album cover was done, we were like, just blown away. And I want to be perfectly clear, like, I never want to come across like an arrogant dickhead, because it just sounds cocky, but we really thought that album cover was the best death metal album cover fucking ever created at that time. There's been a lot of artwork since. Dan Seagrave is fucking awesome too. Rod Smits, who I still work with here and there,
Sweet.
Fucking great. And so many other artists. But in 1997, that album cover, that was like, you know what? What Wes Ben Scoter tell you? He'll tell you that was his finest hour. I'm pretty sure.
Right on, man.
You know, I love that. I've seen that artwork tattooed on countless people around the world.
Sweet.
On tour, everywhere. I mean, it's really, really something, man. It's fucking, I love that. I love that artwork.
And it's rad, too, because since you have been getting, things going again in, when was that? When did you get back together? 2009 or 10 or something like that?
We started talking in 2009, and then about getting the original lineup back together. And then Joe died, and then I think it was 2010. Joe died, and then it was like, fuck, I don't know if we're gonna ever do this now. And then 2011 rolled around. I started jamming with our drummer we have now, Mike Michek, and we were doing this grind project called Earthburner.
Right.
And then I always hear. We basically went on hiatus in 2002. And Joe, because after Grotesque Blessings came out, Joe quit the band. He, at the time, was like, I don't want to tour anymore. He had a girlfriend who he later married. Just wasn't into it. Right. So when he quit, it was like Brian Griffin and me were the only guys from the 90s era of Broken Hope still trying to make it happen. And we did a couple tours. We had some hired hands and stuff, and just wasn't right, man. Just did not, it just didn't feel like Broken Hope. It was like you're trying too hard and too quickly to replace people in the band that were so fucking significant that you don't do anything unless you can do it right. Yep. So Joe passed away. I never thought Broken Hope would rise again. I'm jamming with Mike Michek. Him and I are jamming Broken Hope songs. I've always been hearing from promoters, hey, bring Broken Hope back. We want you guys to play this, and we just didn't do it. And then finally, 2011, got together with Sean Glass and a manager that approached us and a booking agent, and really were sat down like, if we get the right personnel, it's got to be the right personnel to fucking, be Broken Hope.
Right.
What the spirit of fucking Broken Hope is, and I'm like, I'm all for it, Broken Hope it's in my heart.
It's your baby.
It's my baby. And we finally, started talking to people, and Mike was already a sick drummer. We didn't have to fucking go anywhere to find a drummer, because that guy he's the sickest drummer I've ever played with, and that's no disrespect to the great Ryan Stanek, who I love, and he was awesome. But Mike, I'll tell you this, Mike knows when this album came out, that Mike Michek was born 3 months after this album came out. All right, so, and that's true, and but he's got an old soul, man, like a fucking old death metal grind soul, and he fucking just he pours on, and he really works on his craft. He's just so talented as a drummer. Anyway, I had Mike. If you got fucking, Joe Thaychek always said this, because there was a point where we parted ways with Ryan Stanek in the 90s, and this is right around Grotesque Blessings, and we got a studio drummer, and we tried out a couple of drummers to record that album,
Yeah.
And a couple of them couldn't play some of our songs properly. And Joe Thaychek always said that our song Siamese Screams, the first track on Loathing album, he's like, if a drummer can play that sets the bar. If they can play that, then they're in, So, Mike Michek, he played that standing on his head. So the next thing was, so we got, Sean Glass is on bass, and he had a guy that could play lead guitar, and he was a young guy like Mike. And then it was really trying to find a vocalist, and that's where we talked to maybe 5 different people, and one of which was Damian Lesky. And, it's like, really came down to a 5-person wish list, before I talked to Damian, I was trying to get, like, John Gallagher to be our singer.
Yeah.
Like, what does it take? Because John's cool as fuck. I love him. I love Dying Fetus. And, Gallagher, he knows what Broken Hope is about. He likes that old school Joe Thaychek Broken Hope, and
yep.
So I was trying to woo him, and he was interested. It just didn't work out. But then we got a hold of Damien, started meeting with him and everything, and fucking that was it. That was like the best thing that could have happened right there, to bring Broken Hope back, because Damian Lesky, if anyone out there knows fucking Gorgasm, that the guy's fucking pedigree is extreme fucking brutality.
Yep.
And not only is he a sick fucking guttural vocalist, he's fucking a sick riff writer.
Yes.
And he's contributed riffs to the last couple Broken Hope albums.
Sweet.
Especially the last one. And fucking Damien has that Joe Thaychek attitude of quality control. Like,
Yeah.
That riff is weak, or, man, you're going to have to do better with some of these lyrics, man.
And he's pretty jacked, too, so you don't want to fucking dispute him.
Right. Yeah. I remember the first time he showed up to meet us to talk. He was living in Indiana. He drove to stay at my house in the Chicago burbs, and it was summertime, and we had an outdoor pool, and we're like, yeah, let's go for a swim, fucking crank some metal and shit, and fucker takes off his shirt, and it's like, Arnold Schwarzenegger and Red Heat. We're like, what the fuck is, man, this motherfucker's a monster, man. And, you know, hey, he works out hard.
Yep.
Everything he does, he works hard at. Working out, riff writing, being in bands, and, you know, it was, that was great. And then, so 2012, we officially returned, and we did a North American tour with Obituary, which was fucking awesome. Carnival of Death tour.
Yes.
And that was great. Our buddies in Jungle Rock, they were on that tour. God, that was a great tour. And one of the great things about that tour were there are a number of shows that were sold out. You know, Broken Hope, we hadn't played in 10 years.
Yeah.
And now we're back. We're supporting Obituary. Obituary were like on a little hiatus too, so it was really exciting. They were fucking back. And we played Key Club in Hollywood, and that's when Century Media said, we'd like to sign Broken Hope. Right fucking there. We didn't have to demo anything. You know, they're like, holy fuck, you guys, there's like this buzz, and you guys fucking kill it live, and
yeah,
let's do a new album. So we signed with them, and then we did the Omen of Disease album, and you know, we went on a world tour with that, and we released with Omen of Disease, we released a documentary DVD that was a free bonus to all the fans, whoever bought Omen of Disease.
Sweet.
At the time, got this Broken Hope documentary film that I worked really hard to make. And, you know, I did it because we've been gone so long, and we wanted to show people that never may have, you know, may be just picking up Omen of Disease, first time hearing Broken Hope.
Mm-hmm.
They can watch that DVD and see our history, and, you know, see where we came from, see the great Joe Thijek, you know, what he was all about, and where we were going in the future at that time. And so we did that, and then we did, after Omen of Disease, we had another lineup change. Sean left with this other guitar player that he brought in. They wanted to do some other music. So we got Diego Soria.
Yes.
From Disgorge, and who is I always call him the Mexican Cliff Burton because he's one of the sickest bassists, man, and he's like the nicest, biggest hearted, coolest fucking dude, man. He's such a good friend. I love that guy.
And he was he was in Unidad Trauma also too, correct?
In what?
Unidad Trauma, the old band or whatever.
Oh, you know, I'm not sure. Were they from Tijuana? Or
yeah.
San Diego?
Yeah.
That's where he's from.
Yes.
Okay. So I became friends with Diego because Disgorge and Broken Hope toured on a Deicide tour together.
Sweet.
And,
oh, fuck.
Damien was always like, dude, man, Diego, it would be great to jam with him, and it ended up happening. And then
right on.
We got Matt Schlapka on lead guitar. Matt was in Chimera.
Okay.
For a while,
yep.
And he worked out. So we've had this lineup now with those guys going on 6 years.
Beautiful.
Talk about time flying, bro. Fuck.
Seriously, right?
Yeah. But I love all those guys, you know, but the guys we have now, it's just like we've done so many great things. We did our first live album and live concert DVD,
right?
Called Live Disease, and then we did Mutilated and Assimilated, you know, with this lineup, and we toured the world for that, and so now it's been 3 years since we released an album. Last year we didn't really tour. We did we toured Japan with Immolation last September. That was great, and we returned to our hometown backyard of Chicago last December for the first time in a number of years to a hometown show.
Sweet.
So since then, I've been working on some riffs. Mike and I jammed almost a whole song that I've recorded on my iPhone, and just a matter of getting together. I can write riffs all the time. I like writing with Mike. When we've been mutilated and assimilated, that's an album where I worked with a drummer spontaneously and was just writing riffs. My modus operandi over the years is I've always written a lot of riffs at home. When I mentioned Bowels of Repugnance, and I was in a shitty tiny attic apartment sweating my ass off in fucking August and fucking angry at the world, and just all I was doing was writing riff after riff after riff, and I like that kind of creativity, and I could do that now because look, I'm forced to be in quarantine, like everybody else, and I got a couple guitars here and an amp, and I'm just writing riffs, and then when I get with Mike, we'll hopefully get the fucking let out and have New Broken Hope album,
There, Sam Biles is actually kicking in here right now. Said a little bird just woke me from a nap and said Jeremy mentioned Hideous Manglus a bunch of times. Used to tape trade back in the 90s. Hopefully Broken Hope will come down to Pennsylvania, and fucking right, man.
Yeah.
Fucking right, Sam, man. He's old school dude too, man. He knows the shit.
Really?
Oh, fuck, man.
Dude, there's so many great, a lot of great bands, like, from Pennsylvania. I remember Hideous Manglius, and were Agoraphobia from Pennsylvania or Jersey or something?
Kind of, I think in between.
And then a band called Eviction. I had their demo.
Oh.
They were, I think, more thrash, not really death metal.
Yep.
But if anybody out there remembers Eviction from Pittsburgh, I think, he had like a Mickey Mouse with a skull with the Mickey Mouse ears. I remember that on their demo. And then Derketa.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
I love Derketa.
Yeah.
And I'm glad they're still around and doing shit. That's great. I got so many fucking memories of just great underground death metal bands, and it's a nice thing to see where they are now.
Yeah, honestly, right? I mean,
Yeah.
and like I mentioned earlier, it's awesome to have like Facebook and these social media sites to kind of reconnect with everybody again and kind of spark that interest and get everybody. You kind of get excited again because it's like, oh,
Yeah.
hey man, Jeremy just posted that old demo. Oh man, remember that one? Oh yeah, remember that? Oh fuck, we should hang out and this and that and everything, and it just snowballs.
Yep.
Yeah, man, good times, dude.
I've got tubs, storage tubs full. I saved every fucking letter I've ever received at the old Broken Hope P.O. box,
Wicked. See?
Yeah, it's just like I got stuff from all kinds of bands that everybody knows,
Oh.
Incantation guys, fucking, all kinds of shit.
Sam just said Eviction's doing a reunion show very soon.
Oh, wow, fucking A, dude. Wow, shit.
That's wicked.
Killer.
Right. Paul John from Embalmer said he
Yeah.
remembers Eviction toured with Cannibal Corpse for Tomb of the Mutilated and with Unleashed.
Oh, fucking A.
God damn, man. This is fucking cool. Everybody's jumping on board. That's what I mean, man. This is awesome.
It wasn't Eviction who toured with Cannibal Corpse and Unleashed. That was the band Epidemic,
That?
not Eviction.
Oh, yeah? Well, you're going to have to fight with Paul on that one.
In all fairness, I said earlier in the show, half of my head's rusty.
He said
half
it.
is razor sharp.
Yeah, he said it. Yeah, Paul said, you're right.
Oh, okay.
That's great.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's another band back in the day too, always doing a lot of shows out that way. Like Gorephobia. I'm just thinking of like Pennsylvania, Jersey,
Yep.
New York, but there's another band, Prime Evil.
Yes, Mike
Anyone
Usifer.
remembers Prime Evil?
Yeah, Mike Usifer and Andy Eckhart.
I gotta give a real important shout out to someone who actually also, like Ross Dolan, helped spread the Broken Hope word and really believed in the band when we were just kids with our first demo. And that's a guy named Ed Farshke.
Yes.
Who did a great fanzine back in the day, the Book of Armageddon. And now he does all these, Rage of Armageddon shows out of Brooklyn and stuff. And he's still fucking doing it. Ed was introduced to me by Tom Bradner from Numbskull, my guitar teacher, because Ed was a fan of Numbskull, and they, and interviewed him for his fanzine. And then I found out Ed was the biggest Dark Angel fan right above me. Him and I, we had this love for Dark Angel like nobody's business. And then, he reviewed our demo, and then he turned me on to all these bands. He would send me pictures that he took, like 5x7 or smaller prints, off his camera. He'd be like, "Hey, check this out. Sepultura just came to New York for the first time. We were hanging out with them on the Beneath the Remains tour, and there was all these pictures of Sepultura sleeping at their houses and shit." And then he said, "Check this out. This is a badass band called Primeval." And it was, I'm just looking at pictures of it, these fucking guys headbanging and shit. And Ed was just super fucking cool like that.
Yeah, man.
Trying to turn me on to, all this stuff. And he was just into all that, where he's from too, like territorial, like believing in, look, man, Immolation on the shit, Incantation, Mortician, fucking Primeval, Derketa, Gorephobia, bam, so.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, so I just wanted to give props to Ed Farshke because, in all seriousness, he played a role in my life in Broken Hope in the beginning, just being super fucking cool, and a guy who had his finger on the pulse of the death metal underground where I didn't.
Right.
At the time, and so I'm always grateful to everyone. Never forget where I come from. You know what I mean? Never forget where you come from.
We're gonna chat with Ed soon in the next few weeks. He wants to hang out too. So fucking A, man. So obviously, because we want to interview him because of his past and what he did with the scene back in the day. Like you said, man, he had a huge fucking like a massive passion just to help everybody out, like put shows on, do the zines, and do all that kind of shit, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Totally. So we're gonna be talking with Ed in the next few weeks for sure.
Oh, right on.
Fucking A, man. So with all of the Broken Hope and your lyrical content, artwork, and all that stuff, again, I want to bring up the horror. What was the horror movies that got you, obviously in the right direction?
Well, the first, when I was growing up, I lived in central Wisconsin. Now, my family is from Chicago, and I was born in Illinois. But I spent my from age 3 through grade school and junior high in central Wisconsin in a town called Stevens Point, which is a university town. And it's, it's right dead center in the middle of Wisconsin. It's maybe an hour or so north of the capital, Madison, Wisconsin. And we lived out in the country, and so we didn't even live in Stevens Point. We lived outside in rural, America's dairy land. It was all dairy farms. And we had a farm. We didn't have any cows or anything. We just had a farm. But you know, you're talking 1970s.
Right.
You got rabbit ears. You get three
Yep.
TV stations and shit.
Yep.
But I would always, anything that had to do with fucking monsters, dinosaurs, scary shit, I was trying to fucking find it, man, you know. And I remember when movies would, you know, come on to, you know, to TV, like classic movies, Frankenstein. On Friday nights, one of the local channels, which was cool for a kid like me, they'd have this thing called Old Channel 7 Road, because it was Channel 7,
Right.
and they always played horror movies and shit. So I was all into that. And then, dude, it was like pivotal, life-changing movies were like Jaws. Changed my fucking life. That's one of my favorite movies of all time. In fact, Jaws was the first adult novel that I ever read. Because when Jaws was in the theater, the paperback edition of that book was on every newsstand.
Yep.
My mom, all my aunts and uncles, everybody had the book. And I was just like, you know, here, I got the DVD right here. When I saw this cover on the book, the first thing I was looking at, I'm like, you know, wow, there's a naked chick swimming on it.
Yeah, that's the first thing.
The 5-year-old perverted Jeremy, you know. And then I'm like, that fucking shark is going to eat her. And it tapped something in my brain like this,
Yep.
you know. And my mom had the book, and I started reading. I was always real literate kid, you know. Again, growing up in the country, there are three things you could do. You could go outside, fucking explore, and use your imagination. You could read, and you could play your parents' vinyl on a record player. That's what I did, a lot of that too.
Yep.
And you know, watch TV, of course, when you could get a TV channel. So I read that book, and that changed my life. And then John Carpenter's Halloween came out. So I'm still in grade school, you know, when that came out. And it was hard for me. It wasn't like my mom would take me to see horror movies. I'd have to beg. And if they were rated R, she'd be like, I ain't taking you to a rated R movie. You know, so sometimes, a couple times, I got away with, she didn't have a lot of money either. She was a single mom. You know, I lived with my dad later in life when I talk about the broken hope years. So in grade school, I was living with my mom and my sister. So my mom, she was worked a lot, didn't have a lot of money. So we didn't exactly go to the movies a lot. So when a movie came to TV, I was all over it.
Right.
So, but I did get to see Halloween. And man, Halloween scared me so fucking bad. Just John Carpenter's score.
Yep.
I couldn't get, like, there's something about maybe your environment where, as a kid, you maybe have a photographic memory of shit because you're stimulated by what you're seeing and hearing, and it's something you know, not like today where you can, if you want to see and hear anything on demand, you can. But back then, if you saw something, like, it was imprinted. So that goddamn Halloween theme music, dun, 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 I couldn't get out of my head. I was scared shitless, man, at night going to bed, thinking there could be a guy out there that's got one of my mom's butcher knives from her drawer, and he's going to kill me. So Halloween also changed my life. And as terrified as I was, the way it changed my life was a good thing, because I still fucking love horror, man. You know, like, it's kind of funny dynamic, because I'm scared out of my fucking mind, but I've always been a horror kid. I mean, my mom told me at age 3, you know, I'm putting on vampire makeup, can't wait to go trick-or-treating, fucking just eating up anything to do with ghouls and monsters and horror, you know? I mean...
Yeah, man. No, but
Stephen King would tell you, why do you like horror? It's like, you know what? why do I like horror? It's all I got, man. I don't know what else to tell you.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's all I got, and it's you know, you got into the '80s real quick, and that's what I want to tell you is right here, bro. I think right next to Jaws, the John Carpenter's The Thing.
Oh my
is
God.
My favorite horror movie of all time, and that just set things on a whole new level. And I could talk to you right now because I've seen your live feeds, I've seen your posts. I know how much of a horror kid you are. I mean, I could talk to you for another 10 hours.
Easily.
About all the fucking movies and why they're so fucking great. You know what I mean? But those are just a few that
started it.
Talk about an ignition, man.
Yep.
And then also being, again, an avid reader. After I discovered Peter Benchley in Jaws, I wanted to read more. And my mom, what was cool about my mom, it still is, she's always been into mysteries, dark fiction, and horror. And she reads a bunch of other stuff. But when I was growing up, I'm in a farmhouse, again, trying to, you know, entertain myself. So I'm pulling all my mom's books out of the bookshelf and looking at the covers. And it's like Alfred Hitchcock anthology, Agatha Christie, and then fucking I discovered Peter Straub, and then this new writer came out, Stephen King, with a book called Carrie. And then I was reading fucking horror novels all man, the bet in the 70s and 80s. Wow, talk about the decades of getting all the horror paperbacks you could fucking imagine, because that's all the newsstands had for someone like me, and I was just eating it up, you know. So
no, totally.
All that, and again with the magazines, you know, Fangoria, Famous Monsters of Filmland, and later Gore Zone, and horror culture. It's all it all just, you know, it's all part of DNA.
And you growing up too. I mean, you mentioned, you know, waiting to watch the Rabbit Ears because you'd only have a few different channels, and at that time too, that was before the big blow up in video stores also. So there wasn't really it wasn't available as ready as it was in the 80s with the you know, with video rental and everything like that. So like you said, whenever you watch something, you made sure to pay attention to every little fucking detail of those movies because you weren't sure if you were going to see it again.
Right. When we that town I mentioned, Stevens Point, we actually finally moved to that into the town when I was just getting into junior high, like 7th grade. So we got basic cable for the first time. We only had a black and white TV, but I thought, wow, fucking cable, this is amazing.
Yeah.
And that's when I also started getting more into metal, because that's how MTV played metal all the time. But what I wanted to tell you that changed my life is my mom, again, hardworking, single mom, working 2 jobs, trying to raise my sister and I. She won a contest where she won fucking an IBM computer. Now you're talking like 1983.
Jesus.
So she got this computer, and this guy down the street who was like a corporate guy, and we're friends with her, he said, I'll buy that computer from you. So it was like my mom won the fucking lottery.
Yeah.
He paid her like $3,000. The next thing my mom goes, kids, we're buying a color TV and a VCR. And I was like, I can't fucking believe this, you know, like, and then, dude, when we bought the VCR from a video store, this kid that I went to school with, his uncle ran it, so we're like, we'll give you your uncle the business. Well, when we did that, that guy was so cool, he gave us like 20 free rentals, you know, like, for buying this fucking, at the time, the VCR was like $400 fucking bucks.
Yes, they were.
And then, dude, guess what? This guy, I'm all over the horror section, dude. Remember Extro?
Oh yeah, love it.
Larry Cohen's Q.
Yep.
Every fucking George Romero movie I could get my hands on. I Spit on Your Grave. Fucking The Howling. Fucking, I was going fucking off, dude.
Yeah, man.
And it was horror. It was horror movie city. I had a lot of catching up to do. And I did.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, totally, man. And with the thing
again, man, never forget where you come from.
Ever.
I never do.
And
Grateful, you know.
And I remember with the thing, my first experience. I mean, I was starting to watch some things on TV, so I was starting to get a grasp. But it was only just a few movies that I watched at the time. And then I was with a friend of mine, and when did the thing come out?
82.
82. So it probably about 83, 84, I believe it was. I was 9, 10 at the time. So I was at a friend's house, and his mom was a big horror freak. Like she always rented this shit, and she was like, you can't watch this, you can watch this, you can't watch that. So my buddy knew that The Thing was one of those movies where his mom was like, I don't think guys should watch this. So we're both like, okay, we need to watch this, right? So he puts it on, we're watching it, and then when it comes to the scene where he's, trying to resuscitate him with the freaking shockers,
clear,
goes right through, and then all of a sudden, his hands get cut off, his head stretches off. I couldn't handle that. I couldn't fucking handle it. I was running away going, what is going on? I can't believe it. And he kept starting it, and then I was like, turn it off. I don't know what's going on. But then the minute I left his house, it fucking just stuck with me. And I just sat there in bed. I remember fucking sitting there and laying in bed just going, oh my God, I think I need to watch that again. Like, what happened? I need to see this again. And it just fucking just steamrolled after that.
The funny thing about The Thing was I was already all over the movie via Fangoria magazine. So I'm seeing Rob Bottin, the effects god, with like the one issue I got is that scene where he goes clear and fucking arms get bitten and the guy's head goes down the side of the table and the tongue comes out. So the cover of Fangoria was the
spider head or whatever, right?
The Norris head.
Yeah.
Before it turned into the spider head, he had the long whipped tongue. And I'm like, what the fuck is this? I'm looking. That's where I already discovered Tom Savini, thanks to Fangoria. I wanted to be, because of Savini and Rob Bottin, I wanted to be an effects guy.
Yeah.
For horror. They really, that's like, if I didn't discover metal or writing horror books, I might be fucking, Greg Nicotero right now or something.
Oh my God.
But it was right when I started being able to rent those videos, which would have been around the same time like you, 83, like a year or two after. That's when my mom got the computer and sold it and got a VCR. And holy shit.
Yeah.
Man,
honestly,
that movie.
My dad had to keep telling me to go rent other stuff because I would literally, as soon as I'd walk into any video store, I'd be like, "Where's the horror section?" And I just go up there and I just stare at the covers for fucking an hour before I choose anything, because everything at that time was trying to be as gory, as brutal as possible, right?
The covers would draw you in.
Yeah.
Sometimes you'd be disappointed when you got home and put it in. You're like, well, the cover was better than the fucking movie. But you know what? Hey,
I found that with Blood Beach.
Dude, I remember Blood Beach. One of the channels we got on TV was PBS, public television.
Yep.
And that's when they had Roger Ebert and
Siskel.
Gene Siskel. They had their very, what the hell was it called? It wasn't At the Movies. I think it was called something else. It was their first show. Anyway, and it was on public television. And, dude, I remember that's also what turned me on to horror movies, because I'll never forget when they reviewed Alien in 1979, and they even had the 12-inch toy Alien figure that was on the market. I'm like, I got to see that movie. But I remember they reviewed fucking Blood Beach, man. And I wanted to see it because of the review. Remember the poster, the chick in the
It's
sand?
the best. I love that poster. I love that poster.
Yep.
Just
same shit, bro.
And the tagline, just when you thought it was safe to go to the water, or just when you thought it was safe to go to the beach, you can't get to it.
Yeah.
Like that brought me right in, man, and I loved it, dude. And that was the thing, man. Like, for horror
Dude.
movies and just music in general, I always found myself digging myself, right? I mean, you always try to find your friends and people that have, you know, same tastes or whatever, but it didn't always happen because it was like I was either too strange or weird, listening to too much weird music, and I kept watching strange movies all the time, so, you know, it was always the odd man out. So literally I just gravitated to watching movies because that was my time, and it fucking and I tried to watch it as much as I could. Holy fuck, man.
You and me both, dude. Yeah.
Especially when video stores came out, man. Like, literally, that's all I did was sit there, look at the posters, because, I mean, the amount of promo materials that the video stores got at the time with the movies, every movie had, like, a cardboard cutout, cool hanging displays, posters, all kinds of shit.
Yeah, dude. All that shit, dude.
My God. And you collect a lot of that stuff, too, don't you?
Yeah. Yeah, specific to, like, I have a pretty big horror memorabilia collection. Tons of posters. I probably have, it's a bold statement, but I think I got the biggest thing collection in the world. And I got some really...
Yeah, you got some shit.
Crazy shit. Like, I got the rotor from the Norwegian helicopter that blows up in the beginning of the movie. And, you know... And I got a couple of Jaws props, but back in the day when people made movies in the 70s and 80s, a lot of when the movie wrapped, no one gave a fuck about.
They threw it all out.
That shit.
They threw it all out.
The few Jaws items that I have they're legit are like rare to have, you know, just because it's like. No one was keeping the shit. Even the orca, the boat, they let that thing fucking rot away.
Yeah.
You know, can you imagine if that was on display right now somewhere?
Yep.
And then
don't you have like one of the yellow barrels?
I have one of the barrels. My buddy Charlie Benante from Anthrax, he's the biggest Jaws fan I know. He's probably slightly bigger fan than me. I mean, he's hardcore, but he has one of the barrels too.
Jesus Christ!
And what's crazy is Charlie lives, I don't know, within like a 5 or 6 mile radius of my house up in Chicago. So in that radius are 2 Jaws barrels and shit.
That's
you know?
insane. Well, how many? Like there was maybe 6 shot in the movie kind of thing or whatever.
There were
not even.
There were 5 or 6 on the boat.
Yeah.
You know, and then they had extra. The boat itself, there were 2 boats. There was an Orca 1 and 2. I think the Orca, the second boat they used was the one that they sank in the water.
Right.
And then like, if anyone's seen like the Thing prequel that came out in 2011, I really liked that movie too. I thought it was well done and really links up well with the Thing. The only unfortunate part, well, a couple things is they shouldn't have named it the Thing. I think they should have given some kind of indication like it was fucking a prequel.
Right.
You know what I mean? But I've got some of the screen used props from that movie.
Sweet.
So if you watch this one, that's the prequel.
Right.
When they burn the Thing when it first busts out of that cube of ice, and they fucking go after it and they burn it, and then they're looking at the autopsy. I have the actual full size fucking autopsy from the movie. It's insane. I think I posted a video.
Yep. Yes, you did.
But I've said this a million times, man. Someday I'd like to open a fucking museum so I can put all this shit on display and share it with people. Because there's so many horror fans like us, you know, and I've got a lot of rock and metal memorabilia too, you know, like should just be fucking, you know, J-Wag's fucking, museum of fun shit or something and just put it out there.
Totally.
I want to do a thing. Maybe it was only briefly mentioned in a quick conversation with my buddy Brian Slagle, Metal Blade Records. Brian has a Metal Blade Records museum in Las Vegas.
Ah, fuck.
And it was for a while in a private home. Like he would show it to people. You had to kind of, it was like invite only, or you had to know Brian.
Sure.
Last time I saw Brian, he's like, I'm gonna make the museum public. I don't know where it's gonna be in Vegas, but I don't know where the location is. But we're talking about, if he does that, I'm gonna give on loan like some of the Jeff Hanneman guitars and shit I have to do a real kick-ass legit salute to Jeff Hanneman, so Slayer fans can see, some of his iconic instruments and some of like the personal effects I have, so
yeah, man.
I like to share. I really do want to share this stuff. I've had a couple of trolls and douchebags who said, "Oh, must be nice to have all that money to blow on fucking Jeff Hanneman altar and shit." And I won't name names, but I'm like, you know what? Fuck you. I did everything in my power to curate this stuff and do right by Jeff Hanneman, and I'm not looking to keep it in a fucking guitar vault. I'd like people to see this stuff, man.
Yeah. But
you're
a fan. That's the thing. You're a fan, and this means the world to you. This shit.
One of the reasons I became a guitar player, you want to go way deep in history, is because of James Hetfield, Ride the Lightning album. That's what really made me want to be a metal guitar player in 1984-85. I was already into Slayer, but when Rain and Blood came out, I was 16. And I'm just looking at the fucking lyrics, loving the music. I'm like, Jeff Hanneman, this guy wrote, I've known since I was 16 that this guy wrote the sickest riffs, and he wrote all the lyrics, and that inspired me to be, a guy in a band that wrote lyrics and played guitar. And that's what I became. And so I owe maybe where I am a lot to Jeff Hanneman's inspiration.
Of course.
So,
all right.
Life is funny, bro. Life is funny.
It is, man. It literally, it's like.
But here's hoping, I can do some cool shit.
Fucking right, man. So,
yeah.
We've been chatting for quite a while. I got to take a piss myself, but we can go on forever, and we're going to, because we're putting Jeremy in the documentary ourselves. So we're going down to his place when all this shit fucking clears up.
Yeah.
And we're gonna sit down and we're gonna do this properly. And you're coming on the DVD. That's it's a given.
Yeah.
So
I'd love to be part of it. I'd love to. I told you before in Maryland.
Yeah.
I said, hey, if you want to, come down with the documentary, do anything on. Even Chicago death metal history too is important to me, and so many great bands from Chicago. And but to really bring you to fucking Broken Hope headquarters, Broken Hope HQ is where the band jams. But that's a fucking museum, man. That's a Broken Hope museum. I've got every flyer, every poster, every show, fucking framed photos of every lineup of all the past members. You know what I mean? It's a proper museum, and then integrated in throughout all that is all that fucking horror memorabilia.
Fucking right, dude. We're gonna have a good time. We're gonna have a good time, definitely.
Come on down, stay at my house, and we'll fucking knock it out.
We're doing it. Yeah. So, do you have any last words for everybody? What's going on with Broken Hope?
Well, we're dying to record and write, and get back to normal. It really, this pandemic, the COVID-19 thing is really hurting bands.
It's fucking everybody up. Fucking everybody up.
I'm in a weird, I'm in a weird part of my life because, Broken Hope, they, like, Century Media would always call us a legacy band. So, like, I don't constantly tour. The band doesn't constantly tour. We like to pick and choose what we do nowadays.
No.
But we still want to write music and play and do all that. But bands that really fucking rely on touring, like, I'm friends with Chuck Billy at Testament, man. I feel fucking bad. They dropped an album first week of April.
Yep.
Fucking everything put on hold. There's fucking, the album's fucking amazing.
Yep.
They should be on tour. That's their livelihood. And every other band, whether it's fucking Municipal Waste or fucking the Black Dahlia Murder, I mean, you name it. Like these bands, they're fucked because they can't tour. And that's actually why, like, my wife and I, like, whether we buy art, I've been fucking supporting, posting all the records I've been buying from small record stores, that I can online.
Sweet.
My stepkids are huge fucking, metal fans. My stepson, by the way, is in a great grindcore band called Glory Hole Guillotine. And he actually has turned me on to a lot of newer death metal type bands. A band called Fluids I just heard recently.
Just like Mortician.
I'm going to say this name wrong.
Sanguizagabog?
Yes, thank you.
Yep.
So he's always, Tyler Afanillo is my stepson. He's metal as fuck. He's like Mike, my drummer. These guys are walking metal encyclopedias.
Yeah, man.
Old school metal to the most current bands. But anyway, my stepkids, my wife, me, we buy fucking band merchandise online. We do everything we can to support because bands,
we're fucked.
Fucking need it. Bands who rely on it, man, to eat and pay their rent and do whatever.
Yep.
The diehards, whether they're in a van or a tour bus, that's what they fucking do. And when this is all over, after God knows when, but when people can tour, this has given me a lot to think about, man. I just want to grab Broken Hope by the balls and at least drop a new album and fucking show our faces again.
Yeah, totally, man.
Because life is short. And when something like this is knocking out everybody, it really gives you greater appreciation for what you had, what you have, and what you still want to do.
Yep.
So
no, literally,
that's kind of where my head's at. But other than that, Cam, I just want to thank you for having me on. This was a lot of fucking fun. I've been told I give good interview, but we really went deep. I think I've gone deeper with you on history of Broken Hope and death metal and all that than I ever have, man. This was really cool. And then everybody, I don't know how many people have come on board to watch, whatever, but I want to thank everyone for hopefully being entertained by me and, checking out our conversation. So cheers to everybody.
Fucking right.
Stay safe. I send you great vibes to all. And thanks for watching. Appreciate it. And thanks for supporting Broken Hope and all that good stuff.
Thanks for fucking keeping it brutal after all these 30 plus years now, man.
Always will. Oh, and by the way, this Friday, if anyone remembers, raise a toast because it was Joe Thaychek's birthday. Is May 1st, which is on Friday, I believe. So cheers to Joe and to Ryan Stanek and everybody else.
Fucking right, guys. God damn. Yeah, man, we got a lot to talk about when we hook up, so we're definitely we're gonna leave more for the documentary. So you can enjoy this interview for now, but there's way more to come. Believe me. You
better set aside about a week there, Cam, to stay at my house because you're gonna watch a lot of fucking movies. Too.
Yes, I totally need to, man.
Yeah.
It's the best time. It's literally the best time, man. When you get together with buds, have a couple beers, listen to metal, watch horror movies, man. That's the fucking best time ever.
Fucking A-right, man. God damn, life is good.
Yes. Yes, it is. Thanks a lot, Jeremy, man. Thanks a lot, bro.
Fucking roll, bro. Thanks for everything.
Cool, man. All right, take it easy, bro.
Cheers.
Ciao. Woo. All right. God damn it, man. That's how you do it. Fucking right, man. What a good dude. And like I said, man, it was awesome to meet them and actually have Jeremy approach me about the Banger TV thing and giving props to Broken Hope, because you got to give props to Broken Hope. There's no fucking choice on that one. They're fucking brutal. They've been brutal since day one, and they've inspired a lot of fucking bands to stay heavy, real heavy. So thanks a lot, man. It's freaking, that was the longest interview I think we've done so far, because literally we can talk for a long fucking time, and especially when they're wicked stories and when you're just a good person, man. That's how it is. So just like Bob Barker says, you're not spaying and neutered. I mean, you do that too, but make sure to always share, like, and support everything you can. Just like Jeremy, man. They're always buying art, always fucking trying to keep everybody afloat somehow during all this bullshit. And even not during this bullshit, just all the rest of the times too, man. Help your friends out. Help fucking push the shows. Do whatever you can, man, because we all need each other in these fucking crazy times and the scene itself. So thank you very much. And tomorrow, be sure to tune in. We're going to go on later tomorrow because Enrique, yeah. He lives out in Cali, so our time difference is a little fucked. So he's still working. He's out there. And so we're gonna start it a little later. We're gonna start at about 10 p.m. tomorrow night. And we are gonna go old school there, man. Mr. Sadistic Intent doing live vocals for Cenotaph. And there's some other stuff that we will touch on, and hopefully he'll want to touch on, because yeah, there's some questions and answers that a lot of us need out there. But thank you very much for hanging out, and I'm dark as hell. Let's see, I'm going to put that down there. And yeah, so make sure to tune in tomorrow, 10 p.m. And we're going to kick this off with Enrique. And honestly, what I can tell you about the interviews we have coming up is absolutely unfucking believable. We have some heavy hitters. We're chatting, trying to figure out how we're going to do this. Not everybody is on Facebook, obviously. But we have some unbelievable people lined up. Unfucking believable. And we're so excited about doing this and bringing this to you. And we appreciate all the comments and the messages and everything. Like, literally, like, this means a shit ton to us, because it's fun, right? And a lot of the times, and like I mentioned before, you know, everybody knows a lot of the death metal history from a lot of the big bands and stuff, because they're the ones that are always getting interviewed, always getting asked the questions and all that kind of stuff. But what we like to do is we like to dig deep and get those like really deep stories about, you know, everybody else in the background too, right? Who helped put the shows, did the zines, did the tape trading, did the labels, all that kind of stuff. So please stay tuned. We got way more shit coming up. We're not going to be going anywhere. Unfortunately, we're all going to be stuck at home for the next little while still. But we're going to make sure to bring you fucking sweet ass shit. Thank you. And be good to yourselves. Share, like, support. And Rob Mausoleum, he ended up popping in too, man. Fucking A, bro. We appreciate it. Mausoleum kicks ass. And what you've been doing in the scene also. So thank you, everybody. It's been a fucking blast. Yeah, dude. This was awesome. Actually, that's fucking sick time. Good, I'm glad you learned stuff. That's the whole point, man. We're bringing you these deep stories. And from my perspective of being a fan, you know, I was in some bands and stuff, but I didn't tour. I didn't go crazy in that stuff. But, you know, I did some fanzines and shit. And, you know, I kept in contact with a lot of people. So I was always like the background guy, you know, trying to help and report and do what I can for whatever I could, for whatever music that I was into. And I heard these stories all the time. So now that we had this platform, we're bringing these fucking cool ass deep stories that just need to be fucking heard. So, yeah, man, thank you very much, everybody. It's been a blast. Cheers, Sam, for fucking jumping on board, man. Hades Manglis, always getting brought up, dude, man. Fucking huge. Huge there. Paul John, fucking right, man. Everybody was sick, dude. Thank you so much. I'm leaving Caveman. Sanguizagabog. That's totally what it is. Fucking right, guys. That was good. Yeah, Phil, man. You and I, dude, we're going down to Jeremy's. We're doing the fucking Phil Pattison. He's the Rabid Dog guy. He's my Rabid Dog guy. He's the founder of Rabid Dog Films. And if you go on our YouTube page, Rabid Dog Films, RABIDOGFIL Films. It's not Rabid Dog. It's Rabid Dog. So if you can read that, that's how it is. But yeah, Phil and I, we're fucking going down. We're going to hang out with Jeremy. We're going to get the fucking dirt and just hang out and talk horror and metal because that's what we do, right? It's the fucking best ever. It's the fucking best ever. So, awesome, guys. Thank you very much. And like I said, tune in tomorrow, Enrique from Sadistic Intent and playing with Cenotaph and from where he came from. Because I've already gotten messages from people saying, do you know what he did? Do you know what he worked with? Do you know? Yeah, so I think we're going to get some pretty fucking deep stories with this one too, man. So thank you, man. Take it easy.